Mirëdita të gjithëve. Pata kënaqësinë të mirëpres sot në Tiranë sekretarin e përgjithshëm të NATO-s, zotin Jens Stoltenberg, dhe besoj se mund ta them pa ngurim edhe një mik të vendit tonë, i cili e ka vizituar dhe më parë Shqipërinë dhe ka qenë në vimësi i interesuar për zhvillimet në vendin tonë dhe në rajon dhe një mbështetës i palëkundur i gjithë procesit të integrimit atlantik, euroatlantik të rajonit. Vizita e sekretarit përgjithshëm e kujtoi përkon edhe me vitin e 10 vjetorit
anniversary of our country's membership into NATO, and it is a confirmation of the attention and care shown to Albania and the region. We discussed aspects of cooperation and contributions in NATO. I feel good that we shared the impression that our armed forces, wherever they have contributed, have displayed outstanding qualities, professional qualities, and we discussed also the development of the process of meeting a fundamental condition for all NATO member countries, including Albania, that of the budget contribution for defense. I wish to convey publicly on this occasion, personally as well, to the families of the two heroes of Albania who laid down their lives in the NATO mission in Latvia. I want to express directly my condolences and also our gratitude on the part of the Secretary General. It was a very grave event for their families and for the large family of our armed forces, as well as for our country. At the same time, it was a moment of reflection regarding the sacrifices made by our armed forces and the invaluable contribution we have given to NATO. Of course, the Secretary General is interested in, and we have discussed, this particular political and social moment that our country is going through, be it in the aspect of receiving a strong, positive, unconditional promise by the Commission for opening negotiations, and from the aspect of political conflict that does not serve the country and does not serve either the process of Albania's assessment vis-à-vis the positive recommendation. In the end, I want to thank again the Secretary General. He is always welcome to Albania. I apologize to him for the bad weather, which is not typical of Albania and Tirana at this time of year, but maybe coming in such weather he would have felt even more at home, like in Norwegia.
Prime Minister Rama, Dear Edi, it is a great pleasure to be back in Tirana. It's great to see you again, and thank you for the warm welcome. This year we marked 70th anniversary of the foundation of NATO, and we mark the 10th anniversary of Albania joining NATO. So I really appreciate this opportunity to be here together with you and to mark this important anniversary together with you. Ever since you joined NATO, Albania has been a committed and highly valued NATO ally. Albania has forces serving in NATO's multinational battle group in Latvia, and I want to pay tribute to the two brave Albanian soldiers who lost their lives in the tragic accident in the Camp Adassi last month. So please accept my condolences. My thoughts and deepest condolences go out to their loved ones and to the people of Albania. Your troops help build greater stability as part of NATO's KFOR mission in Kosovo, and you help us fight international terrorism by contributing troops to our mission in Afghanistan. NATO is also committed to the security of Albania. We are investing 51 million euro to modernize the existing facilities at Kočovece Air Base, and including projects on fuel storage and logistics. This will help us all to be more effective, more resilient and more secure. And it shows how NATO, through our investment programs, are upgrading and investing in member countries, as for instance Albania. Through hard work and dedication, Albania is setting an example in promoting peace and stability in the Western Balkans. The European Commission has recommended that the EU open accession talks with Albania. And it is important that this progress continues. NATO is an alliance of democracies. And in democracies, there will always be differences and debates. This is not a weakness. It is at the heart of what makes our democracies strong. But political violence contradicts our democratic values. It is absolutely unacceptable. So I call on all political actors to behave responsibly and with restraint, and to show the political consensus necessary for continued Euro-Atlantic integration, and to resolve any differences through dialogue and established political processes. Because this contributes to a better future for the people of Albania and for the whole region. So, Prime Minister Edi, it is great to be here, and thank you once again for Albania's strong commitment to our alliance, and for your personal commitment to our alliance, for your strong political leadership in guiding Albania on its Euro-Atlantic path.
Mohamed Veliu, Top Channel Television. A question for both Mrs. Stoltenberg and the Prime Minister. In the last months, we have seen a number of protests in Serbia, Montenegro and Albania, where opposition has handed over the parliamentary debate and has refused to take part in the upcoming elections of the 30th of June. From your information, are there data that suggest that there is a Russian influence in these protests which seeks to have a destabilized Balkans far from Euro-Atlantic standards? Thank you.
So political debate, political disagreement, that's part of democracy, and that is not a sign of weakness, that's actually a sign of strength. But what is not acceptable is any use of violence and any attempt to undermine democratic institutions. And therefore, I call on the full respect for our democratic institutions in all member countries. NATO is a political military alliance which is built on some core values. Democracy, the rule of law, democratic institutions are of course an important part of that. And therefore any disagreements have to be resolved through political dialogue and through participation in democratic processes. And elections are of course a core part of democratic processes in our member countries, in NATO allied countries, including in Albania. And therefore I call on all political actors to participate and to contribute in a dialogue and to resolve differences through dialogue and not by undermining democratic institutions. We have seen attempts by Russia to try to meddle in our democratic institutions and domestic political processes in different countries, including try to meddle in democratic processes in NATO allied countries. When it comes to the situation in this country, in Albania, I will leave it to the Prime Minister to comment on that specifically. But any attempt to interfere, to meddle in domestic political processes is always unacceptable. What we have to do is to support our democratic institutions and solve disagreements, differences through democratic processes and through political dialogue.
First, it's not a secret, or maybe it's the biggest public secret, I would say, that Russia's approach to NATO, to the European Union, to integration processes is not a friendly approach. Second, I'd like to underline the fact that in no NATO member country there has happened what is happening here, and what some main opposition forces are warning of, and apparently will try to stage it here. It would be unquestionably an indelible stain for our country as a NATO member, which is not a military alliance, but it's a military alliance of a number of countries that share values and principles that are not negotiated. Third, of course, something like this is not in favor of the country, does not coincide with the interests, values, principles, neither of NATO or European Union. And as such, with or willy-nilly, it will lead to the mill of those, it will bring water to the mill of those who don't want the full integration of the Western Balkans, either in NATO or in the EU. Report Television, a joint question. How do you read the political situation in Albania from domestic or external actors? Is there any risk to instability? And in this condition, will NATO speed up its investment in Kuchova base?
So we will move on with a program with investments in the airbase as planned. The political turmoil, the tensions we have seen will not affect that decision and will not affect the way we implement this decision, because this is a decision made based on advice from our military commanders, from our military planners, and we have a budget, we have a program, and then we invest to upgrade military facilities, including these airbase in Albania, and we will continue with that. So for me, this is just an example of how NATO is important for Albania, but also how Albania is important for NATO. We support each other. NATO is a way to bring countries together, 29 allies. And as long as we stand together, as long as we are united, we are safe. And the reason for NATO to be strong and to also invest more in defense is that that's the best way to prevent the conflict. Deterrence and defense has kept us all safe for 70 years, and we will continue to do so in the future as long as we continue to stay united. So I once again thank Albania for its contributions to our alliance, for the contributions to NATO missions and operations, and also for the people you send to different NATO activities, including the people you have at the NATO headquarters, the ministers, the people that participate in NATO decision-making, because you are around the table together with 28 other allies. So once again, thank you for your strong contribution to our alliance.
Just as Secretary General said, the decision to invest in the airbase of Kuchova and the investment program to transform that base into an integral part of NATO infrastructure cannot be discussed. And I would add to that that in Albania we will never allow to happen any form of destabilization that might affect the image of our country beyond the affection brought to this image by the organization of violent manifestations in a small perimeter and without popular support. I am sure when I say this, because I'm sure that every citizen and every Albanian who loves this country, irrespective of what they think about this government, whether they vote or not for the majority, they are not going to participate in the process where which would prove the notorious thesis of Albania's enemies, that Albanians are incapable of building a state and not respecting their own rules. And the last thing, this is not a manifestation of a major concern, popular concern. It is a political staging, and it has no possibility, chance of going beyond the political stage. We are going to hold elections as an inalienable democratic process. If the opposition or whatever opposition party deliberately or legally is prevented to join elections will not be democratic. But if someone does not like to join elections, this doesn't make elections undemocratic. It's time that we put an end to a very protracted history of political whims vis-à-vis the democratic process. Once again, I want to thank the Secretary General, and as I have assured him during our talk, I want to assure him again that all our commitments vis-à-vis the alliance are commitments that we will abide by to the end. On the other hand, I am certain that even in this artificially staged process, Albania, as a NATO member, is not going to stain its image or the calm of Euro-Atlantic alliance. Many thanks.